The Brad Johnson Show. I'm turning losers like you into winners like me. You're about to enter the winning zone. Somebody asked me the other day, Brad, how are you so likable? And I just had to say, well, you know, some things are just born to people, and other things are worked for really hard by other people. This is one of those things that I was completely just born with, and my normal likability is it's just something that I have and that I've always had. I don't remember any time that I wasn't likable. That being said, there are certain regulations in this country that we live in called America. And they require you to have certain certifications in order to do certain things. My career as a surgeon was curtailed because of that, and as a chiropractor. So ridiculous, you know, just the government regulations and stuff just drive me crazy. One of those less regulated but still slightly regulated is the likability sphere. And this is not just, feel good stuff like writing some kind of book. Like anybody can do that. This is actual coaching on the topic of likability, something at which I am becoming certified. And the person who is assisting me on this journey is named Lee Collins. So I would like everyone to just welcome to the show, Mr. Lee Collins. Lee, how are you doing today, my man?
Well, Brad, I'm just doing so good today. It's such a pleasure to be on the show. I've heard so much about it.
I'm sure you have. Yeah, we're all over everything, the news, TV, other media sources of all kinds. Yes, the Brad Johnson Show is universal, pretty much. But yeah, Lee,
just let me say that your show is one of the most likable shows that I've ever listened to, and that's saying a lot coming from me.
Oh, I get that all the time. Okay, so Lee, the reason I'm having you on the show, just a little introduction for the people out there who don't know Lee Collins. And if you don't know Lee Collins, I don't know what is wrong with you, because I know him. And if I know somebody, they are worth knowing. I'll let you should know that. So yeah, what we're getting into here is just the fact that, Lee, you've been doing this whole likability thing for quite some time, huh?
Oh yes, I've been likable most of my life, I would say. Even in childhood, I would say I had the beginnings of what it is to be likable.
I just want to stop you right there because that is really impressive. I think there's very few people for which it can be said that they were actually likable as a child. Because I mean, have you ever seen a child? Like seriously?
Yeah, I tried to make myself likable, and it seemed to work. And I've just continued that momentum into my adulthood, and I've never stopped trying to be likable, and it's exhausting at times, but it's totally worth it.
Totally worth it. And we're going to get into just the opportunities and everything that's opened up in this. So people, what I'm giving you here today is a little fast shot masterclass at likability, because let's be honest, you probably are not, and therefore you need this information. Like I said, Lee, you're helping me get certified here because few people know this, but actually being a likability coach is something that is pretty regulated compared to a lot of the other coaching that people do.
Yeah, it definitely is, and the reason is because it's voted on every year by a committee, and it's called the Likeability Committee, and every year they evaluate these coaches to ensure that only the very most likable people are allowed to have this certification. And so there's a lot of pressure to it. There's so much pressure, and just competition, fighting tooth and nail, to stay on this board of people. And it really is very prestigious, but it's also terrifying if you get kicked off.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. And just man, I love the battle feel of it, though. I mean, it's not just oh yeah, I became a coach, I got certified. This is actually something you got to work for, and you worked very hard for it. You have a degree in likability studies from Columbia University, I believe.
That's correct. Yes, wow. And I actually helped establish that program. I became such a likable person when I was at Columbia that they allowed me to begin my own degree program, and that was very, I don't want to say humbling because I was very proud of it, but it was very amazing to me that I could do that kind of a thing. And then I realized it wasn't, because I was actually that good at becoming likable, and just continued on from there.
Yeah, I've felt that way so many times in my life where it's just like, wow, I don't think I can do this. And it's like, well, yeah, of course I can. Obviously I did. Past tense. Okay,
Right.
so Lee, as far as likability goes, let's just talk a little bit about the doors that are open to you when you are likable versus when you're not. Okay, I think that's something that a lot of people are just like, okay, I'm just gonna live my life, work hard, put my nose to the grindstone, and then like I have to get a nose replacement at age 35. I mean, what kind of life is that? But they don't really realize that social capital plays such a big role in this. Talk to me a bit about that.
Yeah, so it's so important as you become more and more likable. You have to realize that you're putting all your cards on the table based on your personality and who you are, and every interaction you have with people is something they'll never forget. Especially in the likability coach community, people keep records of every negative thought they have about another positivity coach or a likability coach. And even if they have a positive thought about you, they will write that down. And so it's this log of people's impressions of you just piling up. And every time there's a social event or a fundraiser or whatever it might be, these people all come together. And all of those impressions and those feelings and thoughts these people have had about you in the past all come together. It's really, there's a lot of weight to that social currency that these people carry around with them
Yeah,
based on
that
their past impressions of you.
that really adds up over time as well, for sure. Okay, so as far as like the doors though that open, I mean, I would imagine like just it doesn't take a whole lot of creativity, I guess, to come up with the fact that if you are likable, then you're going to get people to pay you more money. I think that has been seen over and over.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, and really, I've become so likable that I've actually had charities donate to me,
Wow.
and that is really, I think it's the pinnacle of likability when you can get a charity to donate to you,
You
that
know
they
you've arrived.
realize exactly. You realize this charity sees me as more important than these homeless people or these people with weird diseases or whatever. Like it doesn't matter at that point. They're so willing to give you money because you're that likable. Those other issues just don't even matter anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking pay raises, people. We're talking promotions. We're talking more business, more clients, better business, all that sort of thing. Man. So, Lee, you were talking to me about a study that was done at where this was like St. James's University Hospital. I think that's somewhere in Britain. And they were talking about just the likability versus unlikability of parents and how that influenced the care of the children that the children got. Like that just blew my mind.
Yeah, it's just astounding that the more likable you are, the more likely it is that your children are going to be treated better. So you're really just creating a legacy of
Yeah.
likability. It's not favoritism. It's not anything like that. It's just you're just innately more likable, and there's really no arguing that when it
Well, and
comes
this goes
to.
back to what we were just talking about how you were likable as a child, and I definitely was likable as a child. So many friends, it was it was crazy. Like I couldn't even hardly keep up with all of them, all the friends that I had when I was
Yeah,
a kid.
I'm one of those.
But anyway, so yeah, as far as like just the fact that a parent being likable could make the doctor do better care for the child. So basically, people, what I'm saying here is that not only are you going to get more money, more leads, more better business, like better relationships, all that stuff, you could save a child's life by being likable. Because if you bring a child in and you're not likable, like what's that doctor going to do? I mean, who
Right.
knows?
They're just going to skip right over to the person that's more amiable.
Okay, so let us break this down here, Lee. I like getting into the nitty gritty, the down and dirty type stuff. So tell me, what is likability? Now I know what it is, obviously, because I'm just living proof,
Of
that sort of
course.
thing. But for the people who don't know, who need to get these qualities in their lives, let's break this down.
Yeah, so there are four aspects, okay, to likability.
Yeah,
These are the four likability factors.
yeah, we call them the four horsemen of likability.
Exactly. First, you have friendliness. Second, you have relevance. Third, you have realness. And fourth, you have empathiness. which sorry, I can't say that properly, but
It's
you get the idea. Yeah, it has to have the ness on the end, otherwise it doesn't flow.
Yeah.
So in order to get those to fit together, so those really, you have to have all four. And that's the problem with most people is they have a few of those. They have, 3 or 2 or 1 even, but not all 4. And that's when you finally unlock the likability factor.
I know some people with 0. Lee, I'm just going to be straight up with you. I know some people that don't have any of those, like no horsemen whatsoever.
I hope I have all 4 to you. I'm sure I do. But yeah, there sadly are people that don't have any of these, which is, they're not even worth knowing at that point.
Yeah, no kidding. And that's what I say. Just get them out. Okay, so basically we're talking about amiableness, just being appealing, attractive, charming, like me, engaging, enjoyable, friendly, all that good stuff. We've got these kids, so that's what is making you likable, are those 4 horsemen of likability. And then we've got from your book and the coaching materials you've been giving me, the four horsemen of likability, and then we have the 7 component dwarves of likability. So let's go over these. This is really where the rubber meets the road here.
Yeah. So the reason they're called dwarves is because they're small, but when you put them together, they can do great things. They have the 7 deadly dwarves. They wouldn't be deadly if they were individuals, but altogether they're lethal. So you have these 7 components. And we can just go through each one if you'd like and just kind of work through.
And before we jump into these, I just want to note that you do offer coaching on this likability side of things, right?
Of course. Yeah, there is an evaluation you have to take before you can be accepted for coaching, just to determine your base likability index. That's the term there. And if you meet that minimum requirement, if you meet that minimum requirement, you can be entered into a drawing that happens every 6 months to get into our raffle to get into coaching introduction. And then you can buy the course from there.
Which I just want to point out, people, like I made it through that, okay? And I didn't do the drawing or the raffle. You saw my name on there, and you were like, "Wow, this is Brad Johnson. Like I got to coach this guy." Like because anybody who's listened to the show for very long knows I don't hire coaches. Usually, if I'm like, "Wow, this guy seems like he might have some stuff to teach me," by day 2 of our coaching, I'm coaching him, and he's like, "Wow," and then he's paying me money. Crazy. And it works out like that every time. One exception.
Good system.
What?
It's such a good system. Obviously it was a good way for me to be more likable by allowing you to do that, but it was also because I saw that potential in you.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like I was saying, the 2 exceptions to that actually happening were my morning coach, who we had an interview with him quite a while back, but I just re-listened to it actually the other day. Such a good interview. Love it. But yeah, and you're the other coach that I'm actually like, okay, like actually I feel like you have some stuff to bring to the table, whereas most coaches don't.
Well, I like to hear that. That's all I can say.
All right, so let's get into the 7 dwarves of the components of likability. First one, hit me with the first one here. All right, not to leave you guys on a cliffhanger, but I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger because this is actually a 2-part episode. We're going to come back and hit those 7 dwarves components of likability. This is so much value. People, believe me, if you don't know how to be likable, and I just know you guys, okay? I know my audience. # know your audience. And you guys need this training. So come back next week for part 2. And in the meantime, just really focus in on those 4 horsemen of likability and see which ones are missing in your life. Hint, it's probably all of them. We'll talk to you next time. Ciao.
You've just listened to an episode of awesomeness. Now go out and spread the awesomeness and help others fix the mess that is their life and help them stop being a loser and start winning in business, health, and their personal life by getting them to listen to The Brad Johnson Show. Book your face, tweet your tweets, and Insta your grams at Brad Johnson Show. The Brad Johnson Show. Winners only.